And then there are the new technologies, which are token-based, which are sort of like digital forms of cash, and they are not necessarily tied to a person or a corporation. And of course, Sweden has been at the forefront of making CBDC into a reality. We have also seen that the Bahamas has been the first country to roll out a CBDC.
I think the real thing is there is a question of, whether it's M0 or M1 or maybe, even beyond, and what solves the problem. So, I mean, our experimentation has obviously by definition been in the M1 category, because that's where we are doing JPM Coin. That's where we're doing some work in Singapore in terms of multi-currency clearing. And at least from our point of view, when we look at our wholesale customers, that meets their needs, because I think the problem they are trying to solve in many cases is they want to have atomic settlement of transactions. Recently we built an infrastructure to do intraday repo. So in the US, most of the repo markets are overnight, which is, again, very large scale, obviously wholesale, issue. They are overnight. And now because we can tokenize both cash using essentially M1, JPM and M1, and tokenize the securities, in this case, they are mostly US Treasuries, and we can swap them for 10 minutes if you wanted to. And suddenly the way you deal with capital, the efficiency, how much money you have to put aside, how much you have to pay for certain things, all those dynamics change. Again, they may not appeal to sort of the person down the street, but they make a significant difference to, sort of global institutions in the way they operate, again, the core of the capital market. So I think that's one thing that's always, sort of running through the whole thing. Is it M0 or is it M1? And I think the second thing, which frankly for me, sort of was, again, I couldn't agree more, which is with John, that the layer cake is going to go obsolete. We just don't know how. I mean, because we are so early in the obsolescence sort of, trajectory here. We think it might be CBDC, it could be something else. The top layers are effectively building infrastructure. In some ways, the layer cake has increasingly become an inverted pyramid, to make it even more complicated. And you have a lot more people innovating at the top than you have people innovating at the core. So as John said, they're coming to you for for like the final settlement or something, but most of the action is happening in the private money realm, even above the M1 realm. So I think increasingly we're seeing this like Cambrian explosion of these solutions, retail. And I always believe, like, you start with retail, you will come wholesale. Retail is where innovation starts, because we all kind of understand it. We're humans, we have needs, and we can kind of like connect the dots. And then you will come to wholesale, and those same things, like user interface, like data, like all those things which started in the retail space, finally have now shown up in the wholesale space, in both money and non-money industries. So I think the way I think about it is, I think we are at the start. Whether we go from a layer cake to a network of some sort, a multi-tiered network, a 3D network, who knows? But I think we have to keep our mind open, and we have to actually somehow suspend our own belief in our own right to exist the way we do today, which is kind of hard to say when you're sitting in the private sector. But I think the more we hold on to our current business models, the more there's a risk that you will be made obsolete by someone else. So again, I'll stop there. I know that's probably a bit extreme, but that's how I think about it.
Thanks, Umar, and thanks for all four panelists: John Cunliffe, Cecilia Kingsley, Javi Perez, Tasso, and Umar Farooq. This has been a fascinating panel. I think we could easily go on for a couple more hours, but we are at the end of the hour. Thank you so much for all of you. This is an exciting time where global payments are being innovated and disrupted, and we all hope that this is going to the benefit of all. Thank you, and thanks to the BIS for hosting this panel.
Thank you.